You talk about the humility to do that. And as we grow our businesses, we start delegating. We have to work on the business, not in it. How do we stay in touch with the front lines, especially as the founder, the CEO? It's cool how Dave Ramsey has this built in because he's on the radio show every 3 hours every day. And so it's kind of a force, like he's interacting with the marketplace and has never lost touch of like, this is the front lines of what we're really doing with our customers. Right. But I've lost it at times. I mean, I talk to plenty of business owners and founders who you just get more and more removed from, whether it's the sales seat that we started in or the customer service or actually building and providing the service that we, are known for in our business. How do we stay in touch with that? How do we get the time? How do we get out of bed and actually go out and talk to the customers when we got all this other stuff going on?
Well, I actually asked the same question to one of my board members. His name's Ken Polk. He owns Arlington Family Offices in Birmingham, Alabama. And Ken gave me his system that is what I use. And so what you do to take the angst out of this, because it's like, when is it enough, right? Like, I don't have enough time to do all this. And so I have a spot checking system. And so spot checking meaning that I listen to actual phone calls from our sales reps. Once a month, I get a couple sent to me and I listen to them when I drive. That's spot checking. I'm just listening. A spot check might be with your customer, with a save call for us. If somebody's wanting to quit, gravy. I want to listen to that save call. I will actually go attend 1 or 2 of those a quarter and listen. I won't even do it. I'm just listening to be in there. That's a spot check for us. And so you find the key pivot points. And usually those pivot points are transitional points. It's like when somebody's going to become a customer and they didn't. Okay, you need to spot check those. Call that person and talk to them. Why didn't you buy? You're the perfect fit. You're the perfect, you got the budget. You didn't buy. Tell me the real reason. I'm not trying to convert you. So I have a system of like 5 to 7 things, and they change based upon the different season of the business. And so my assistant then has it kicks up a reminder. I do the spot check, and that's how I stay in tune. Now there's other stuff where I'm just relationally connected.
Yeah. I love that.
But the systematic way is a spot check.
But you created a system and it automates a lot of it and is pushing it to you, especially if you can listen on your commute. It's net zero time in your calendar. So what's an example of, let's say you're listening to a save call and it's going pretty well, and then there's a moment that you cringe. You're like, oh, no.
It happens every time.
And then you think, okay, if this is how we're doing this across all of these, we need to do what? Some training? I got to show up as the CEO and light people up. I mean, what do you then do if you see something that's like, this isn't how I would do this?
Number one thing I do is personally talk to the person and have an individual conversation. I did it this morning. I was on a webinar dry run call with a guy on our team, and he said I could tell the story because he's telling it. And the way the meeting was led was not the gravy way that we lead meetings. It just wasn't. And I instantly picked up the phone after the meeting. I said, hey, the number one thing I always ask, are you open to feedback? And if they say yes, because if not, it's just seen as judgment. So are you open to feedback? And then I walk through, hey, here's what I noticed. Here's what I prefer. So those 2 words, here's what I noticed. Here's what I prefer. And then I said, what I always do is I take this micro thing, and I make it a macro example. And so today, actually right now, and he actually texted me back and said, you don't have to do this time. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach people how to lead meetings the gravy way, so you don't have to. That's what he did to me, which was great leadership on his part. And so we take it, and what that means for us is we go to our all team Slack channel, and we literally do a recording, an audio recording or a video to say, this is how we lead meetings at Gravy. And we train everybody on it and make them give a thumbs up that they've watched the entire video. And that's just a quick way of how we do things. Again, that's how we're entrepreneurial. So we move fast and do things fast. So it's not like this training system. Now everybody sits in a room and we train everybody. It's on the fly. And so we bubble things up on the fly. We make people watch it in Slack if it's a big thing. And that's how we do it.
I wrote down when you were talking about kind of how you kick off that feedback conversation, these phrases. I've never heard them put this way, but they seem really powerful. Here's what I noticed. Here's what I prefer.
Yeah, I learned that in marriage counseling. My wife was telling me that.
It feels very disarming. I think that's always a tough, like, how do you break the ice when you're about to give somebody feedback, because you don't want to be the heavy. You want them to know that you're for them. Hey, I noticed this. I prefer this. What have you found in setting it up that way? Is it helpful? Do people say, oh, here, this is the magic phrase that I'm about to get in trouble? Or is it more like, no, let's have this discussion?
Well, I think it's not ever about trouble. it's not about getting in trouble. He wasn't getting in trouble and I wasn't angry at him. Yeah. It was literally just this is a thing. It's leading a meeting. It's not you suck, right? And so I noticed the way you lead the meeting was here. This is what we prefer. This is the Grady way. And so that's another thing. Another trick that I use, and I learned this from a coach, his name is Rob Berkeley, is, and it's kind of harder in a digital environment, but not really. So if I'm giving feedback to somebody, always have a third object in the room instead of it just you and the person. And so I write the feedback out. And if I'm in person, it's on the piece of paper. And so I'm pointing at the piece of paper and the feedback, not them. Same thing, share your screen on Zoom. You can pull your screen up and say, this is the feedback I'm talking about. And it's not like I'm just looking at you and you're the problem. It's this thing. It's so separate the thing out physically. And it's a great tactic to help keep, the feedback loops helpful.